Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Vector Accelerator Podcast. I'm Scott Schimmel, one of the hosts here with Joe Lara. And today, it's not just me and Joe having a conversation, which we know our moms love. It's a longtime friend of Joe's, a brand new friend of mine, except we should have been friends for like at least a decade by now. So I'm so thrilled, Vun, to have you on the show. We're in the same world, the same network. You've been a part of the Honor Foundation for a long time. So welcome to the show. Love if you could just give us a little background and especially give us some insight into how you got involved with the Honor Foundation.
Sure. So thank you so much for having me. And I really cannot, Scott, believe that this is the first time we're talking.
I know.
Joe's been talking about you pretty much the same exact day I met Joe, and that's been almost 6 years now. So my work is in team and leadership development through a methodology I call creative integration. And basically, that means is all the programming I do is done through creativity, play, sharing experiences. One of the tools I use is called Lego Series Play. It's a methodology that was started at the Lego Group. And about, I guess 6 years ago now, I was certified as a Lego Series Play facilitator. I joined this network of facilitators. And one day I was on the platform and there was a gentleman who wrote in, I have a friend of a friend of a friend who's looking for a Lego Series Play facilitator for a group of veterans in San Diego. So I was like, well, let me raise my hand. I'm not in San Diego, I'm in Los Angeles, but I will have a conversation. So that conversation happened to be with Joe on Zoom, and we connected so quickly. And he was just so clear what he wanted. He wanted this waypoint program of the Honor Foundation to include Lego Series Play and creativity. So he handed me this book and said, here's a 3-month program. Where can you incorporate Lego Series Play? Wow. And Joe, I think I tabbed like 7 or 8 places, like orientation, storytelling night, all these places. And he reached back out to me. He's like, let's have you come in on transition night, the last class before graduation. And what we do now for the last 5 years has been going in on transition night and using all these creative methodologies like Lego Series Play, all these creative problem solving tools to get these men and women to think in a different perspective, right? To use their creativity to look at that military transition as, your military career informs what you do next, but it doesn't dictate what you do next. So what do you like to do as a child, right? Build a model of that in Legos and look at it and think about what might this become for you next. And then just a side story to that is that I stood there the very first night at the Honor Foundation in November 2019 on transition night. And as I was standing there, I thought to myself, this is no accident that I'm here, right? I'm a Vietnamese refugee. My family left Vietnam in 1975 when I was 2 years old. And our first home was at Camp Pendleton Marine Base, just a few miles north of the Honor Foundation campus in San Diego. And the military was such a big part of my family's transition. And to stand there all these years later, like, how am I standing here on transition night? Right, helping you through your transition. It was amazing. And so I'll always be so grateful to Joe for putting me in front of that room that night.
Joe, that's awesome, Vaughn. I am so excited to hear more. I am such an idiot when it comes to Lego Series Play. Even putting those words together, I'm just like so curious about, which is I think a part of what you're doing. So you are significantly lagging. So in the spirit of our high production, we're going to kick you out. We're going to kick you out of the conversation, and Vaughn and I are going to continue. So everybody say goodbye to Joe. Thank him for introducing us.
Bye, Joe.
Bye, Joe. Okay, let me start recording again. All right, good. Okay, so now we can talk freely now that Joe's gone. Say all the bad things about him.
Oh, yeah. That's really why you kicked him out.
Yeah, that's all we needed Joe for. Vaughn, maybe you can help me understand, like, how did you find Lego Series Play? What led you there from 2 years old Camp Pendleton to years later stumbling into this thing?
That's a long story. So just like, I was a really creative child, really artistic and creative. But as a Vietnamese refugee, being raised by a lieutenant colonel from the South Vietnamese Air Force in Catholic school as a refugee, that just really wasn't part of the plan in my family, right? Like, you're going to go to school, you're going to become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. So I went down that path of getting all the way up to my master's degree, getting all these, jobs that would impress other people, especially my parents. But there was always that lack of creativity
Mm.
in these things I was doing. So it came to a point in my life where I was just thinking, I need to bring creativity back into my life. And I was working in the corporate world thinking a lot of people in the corporate environment are lacking creativity.
Yeah.
So I had this idea in my head to bring creativity to learning and development. I didn't know
Huh.
what that was going to look like other than arts and crafts.
Uh-huh.
And it sat in my head for 6 years, like this idea. And it wasn't until and I've told this before too, my brother was in a motorcycle accident in a coma at the UCLA Neuro ICU. My dad
Wow.
was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I had an 8-week-old baby in my arms,
Oh my
all
God.
of this time. So it was that time where I'm like, you know what? This is like, life is short. I've got to do something
Mhm.
different. So I quit my job, started this business, bringing literally arts and crafts into the workplace.
No way.
And I made no money, right? You're like, no, thank you. So then I just started exploring different methodologies, and I found Lego Serious Play
Okay.
at a conference that was in Buffalo, New York, called the Creative Problem Solving Institute.
Huh.
And there was an organization there called Strategic Play, who I'm trained under, who teaches this process of Lego Serious Play. They presented there. I'm like, this is amazing. It got
Mm.
me really to think differently, think with my hands, talk more about what I was building and thinking, because I'm talking about a model now versus from
Yeah.
here. And as an ambivert introvert, you're right. Like
Yep.
if I'm in a meeting, you're my manager, and you ask a group of us, what do you think about this? How would
Yeah.
you solve it? You're not going to hear from me,
Right.
but I'll build Lego all day long and tell you about this.
Yeah.
So that's how I discovered it, and I
Huh.
implemented it into my work. And that's when it really started to grow and expand. And then honestly, bring it to the Honor Foundation, that gave me so much confidence in my work, because now I go out to all these executives, and if there's any doubt, I'm like, it's good enough for the Navy SEALs.
Yeah. So you bring kids' toys just to reduce it to its its core. You bring kids' toys into a room with special operators and who are about to transition to the next part of their lives, which is
Yes.
filled with stress and pressure and anxiety and the unknown, and also filled with assets and strengths and talents and story and capacity and resilience and all that stuff. I don't want you to give it all away, but what do you do in the classroom with them?
Oh, I'm happy to give it all away, because I feel like the more people can use it, the better. So what I bring in is these tools of what I call curiosity and creative problem solving. So the idea is you're going through a transition, and we can't just sit in the transition, right? We can't sit in the challenges of that transition. We really need to talk about the possibilities.
Hmm.
So the first thing is this concept of divergent thinking. Because oftentimes, especially when we're in a place of transition and challenge, it seems heavy. So we're asking ourselves questions like, how am I going to do this? Like, what's going to happen to me? And you can feel the heaviness of those questions. So the first idea is, asking questions in a way that lead to possibilities. Like, ask questions like, okay, well, how might I?
Hmm.
What if? What else? So these type of questions lead to possibility. And then this idea of, when you come up with an idea, don't judge it. Divergent thinking, right? If you come up with an idea, as human beings, oftentimes we'll shut ourselves down and say things like, well, who am I to?
Yeah.
That's not going to work. I don't have the experience. Whatever it is, we shut ourselves down. So in this process of divergent thinking, we allow all ideas on the table.
Hmm.
It can be the wildest and craziest ideas in the world, but they all make it to the table. If someone says, when I was a kid, I used to love the circus, maybe I'll join a circus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're not in this curious and creative
Yeah.
mindset, you're just going to throw that out right away.
Right.
But in creative problem solving, we say, let that sit on the table, because you never know, an hour later, 6 months later,
Yeah.
you might look at that and be like, okay, well, maybe I won't join the circus, but there is something in that idea that I can move forward with.
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
I think that's striking me in a few ways. One, we have learned in the Vector Accelerator program to talk specifically about hope, the science of hope. And I've learned this from a good friend of mine who's a quantitative psychologist in Oklahoma. And she's helped me understand that hope is not like optimism or wishful thinking or positive kind of mood. But it's the sense that tomorrow will be better because I'm going to make it better. I'm going to do something tomorrow differently than today, and it's going to shift my circumstances. And so you can actually measure that and train it and teach somebody these thinking strategies that can help
Yeah.
somebody overcome some obstacles in so many ways. That's exactly what you're doing. You're doing it through Legos.
Yes, Legos, Play-Doh, creative problem-solving tools. Like, Lego is like when we first started. The first time I came down to San Diego to the Honor Foundation, it was Lego. It was Lego Serious Play, and then we've
Okay.
expanded into creative problem-solving tools. So I might put up 2 or 3 random pictures of a tree, a rock, a slide,
Hmm.
and say, what characteristics of these pictures remind you of a strength you have, or
Mm.
remind you of what you might want to do later. Like,
Yeah.
what are some characteristics that remind you of something you could do after your military career? So we used a variety of creative problem solving tools to do exactly that, like this, like to focus on possibility and hope. Um,
Interesting.
and I love what you said, that like it's not just like sitting here being hopeful.
Yeah.
I talk about it as following curiosity with creative action,
Hmm.
right? Like you can have hope, you can have curiosity, but unless you're putting action to it,
Yeah.
that's like it's just hope, right? Or it's
Yeah.
just you're just curious.
I don't want to move things around because I don't have the authority to, nor should I. But it almost feels like what you do shouldn't be at the end of the program; it should be at the beginning. Have you ever thought that?
You know what? That's so interesting. I've always thought it was brilliant that it was at the end of the program.
Okay.
When you think about um, the way these men and women are showing up into this room,
Yeah.
this is something they haven't done before, right? They haven't had to like do that self reflection in probably a very long time. So
Yeah.
I think the openness of the men and women in the room at the end of the course makes it successful. Although, um, conversely, to argue your point, because it's creativity and curiosity, which is innate
Mm-hmm.
in every single person, like I'm not sure we actually need that buildup, right?
Yeah.
Because I go into organizations all the time, and there isn't a 3 month buildup. Is initially I just walk in, there's Lego on the table,
Right.
there's Play-Doh on the table, and we say we're getting curious, we're getting creative, and because both those things are innate in all of us,
Yeah.
it comes out very quickly.
Yeah. Are there some people I would imagine who are already like this? They already do this, maybe naturally, or how they were raised. Like, how do you understand kind of the different, I don't know, temperaments or personalities when it comes to play?
That's so interesting because I don't think I've ever thought about like the different, who's in the room are human beings who are
Yeah.
all innately curious and creative.
Okay.
Yes, some people like Joe love Lego, right? And
Yeah.
they're so familiar with Legos, like playing with Lego or building with Lego. Um, or there might be some artists in the room, but that's not really the point. The point is we use
Mm.
creativity as a thinking tool and not so much a artistic tool, right? So it doesn't matter if you're really great at following a Lego build, which I'm not, by the way. I'm constantly missing pieces. Lego Serious Play is just building what comes to you. You're building metaphors.
Mm.
There's no instructions. It's just a
Yeah.
prompt, right? It's just a prompt. Like build something that makes you happy,
Yeah.
right? And you're building a metaphor. I always say, this is not Lego Masters,
Yeah.
right? You are the
Right.
builder. So whatever you build is what you say it is. Like, even no one can argue with you.
Is that an issue for some people? Just as you mentioned that, like, I think there are some that have been conditioned to think that there's a picture on the box that we're supposed to follow. There's
Yeah.
instructions we're supposed to, like, step by step go through. I think people take that approach to life as well. So are you sort of breaking that out of people?
We are, and I think that's the difference between like Let's Play with Lego and Lego Serious Play. So
Okay.
Lego Serious Play is a facilitation methodology that was actually started at the Lego Group in the late '90s as they
Huh.
were going through strategic challenges, and they brought in professionals, like organization behaviorists, to design this program. So it is a process, right? So we don't just come in. That my first question is never going to be build a model that represents something you want to do with your future, right? We do
Yeah.
these skill building exercise, like, just build anything. They'll take 10 pieces and build anything,
Yeah.
right? And then they build anything. And then I suggest like what you built actually represents what you ate for breakfast, right? So it's like very low
Yeah.
hanging fruit, just just tell me what you ate for breakfast, and you just make meaning of it, right? Oh yeah, this
Okay.
yellow brick means I ate eggs and whatever it might be. So now you're building a metaphor,
Hmm.
and then the next build might be storytelling. Then you story tell, and
Hmm.
now we get into more of like, okay, now build a model that represents something you want to do for your future, with always the constant idea of divergent thinking. All
Yeah.
ideas matter. You are the builder. You are the storyteller. What you build is what you say it is.
Yeah.
And then also, if you don't have an idea in your head, just like with the other part of Lego serious play is you're literally thinking with your hands.
Hmm.
Like if you don't know what you're building, just put bricks together and look at it, and a
Hmm.
meaning will come up. Because as human beings, we are meaning makers. So
Yeah.
like if you start building something, and ideas can come up for you.
Yeah. I love it. It's fascinating. I don't want to put you on the spot. Can you think of, do you have I don't know, illustration of someone who has learned this, practiced this, and then it shifted or changed what they ended up doing?
Well, I can share with you a couple of examples from the Honor Foundation. So there was one gentleman who we started building, and the build was, build something you love to do as a child. And he built a little model of himself on a yacht or like a boat,
Hmm.
and he's on the top of it as a captain of the boat. And then a few months later, he sends me that picture and a picture of him as a yacht broker in San Diego.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know that
and this
guy.
is someone who is a. Do you know him?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't mind what I say. It's Ryan
Yeah.
Anderson, right? We all know
Yeah.
Ryan Anderson.
Yep.
He's amazing. And yeah, so just like to be able to take an idea that he may have just thrown away before, right? Or maybe not even thought about like that could be a
Yeah.
career for me. So build the model, make it actually tangible, and then go get it.
Yeah.
And then there's another gentleman, and this person I don't remember their name, but he came up and he shared his model, and I said, build a model to represent what you want to do next. And he came up, he's like, you know what? Actually, I walked in this door, I was really skeptical,
Hmm.
right? Like, what are all these Legos doing on
Yeah.
the table? And he said he started building this model. He's like, I want to be an entrepreneur. So here he was on this side. He built this bridge to entrepreneurship.
Uh-huh.
And he said, then as I was building this bridge to entrepreneurship, I started tipping over on this end.
Hmm.
So what I realized, like, oh, maybe I can build some foundation over here. Like maybe I work for a couple of years, get my MBA, whatever it is. So again, just like these realizations from looking at something that you might not get if you're just thinking it.
Yeah. Okay. So we have kind of two audiences of the show. One are other veteran leaders, people that care about veterans, hire veterans, work with them. But I would love if you could talk to the normal veteran, the everyday veteran who's going through transition. We were on a call this morning, 547 veterans in transition who are all SkillBridge interns. Many of them would say, yeah, I have a plan, I think, but I'm not totally sure about it. Others are like, I have no idea. And as we were engaged with them for 3 hours, you could just tell that some of them were like, feeling the anxiety go up as we dug into it, because we're trying to help them get clarity around core life questions. I guess I'd be curious for you, for a veteran who's listening, who's in their car right now, who's at the gym right now, like how can they start down this journey of serious play with their life?
So, I mean, again, like if you have Lego, you can just start building. But I want to get away a little bit from Lego serious play and just talk about more like mindset, right? This mindset of curiosity, because people are like, follow your passion, have a plan. But it's like, well, I don't know where to start. So I wrote a book called What If Pigs Can Fly. It's got a practical guide to follow your curiosities. And it's literally a framework and a guide and a workbook to get people to just, like I said, divergent thinking. What are all the ideas, right? Again, when we are sitting in a place of transition, we're often feeling stuck and we often are feeling heavy about it. So what if we can get out of that heaviness and think in possibilities? So the first thing around following curiosity is, number one, just write down everything you're curious about. Anything that comes up to you, write it down. Again, divergent thinking. So the second part of divergent thinking is convergent thinking. Convergent thinking now is this idea of narrowing down your ideas. So it literally is step by step. Okay, for a week, write down everything you're curious about. Everything, and in this case, it'd be like everything you're curious about pursuing, right?
Okay.
And then at the end of that week, or whatever time frame you give yourself, sit down and set your parameters. So, okay, I've got all these amazing ideas. Maybe I'll live on a farm. Maybe I'll join the circus. Maybe whatever. All of it's on a piece of paper somewhere. On Post-it notes, built out of Lego, however you want to capture it, it's there. And then you think to yourself, okay, but what are my parameters, right? I want to make a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
I want to live in a certain place. This is stuff you go through in Vector Accelerate anyway.
Right.
Um, I want to not work on weekends, whatever your parameters are. And then you look at all your ideas and say, which ones can I filter through,
Hmm.
right? Which ones can I filter through? And maybe you went from 20 to 5 ideas
Mm-hmm.
now. And then from your 5 ideas, think about another parameter. Maybe the parameter is like, which one am I most excited about?
Yeah.
Pick that one idea and say, what's my first small step to
Yeah.
getting there? And then just take a step. And that's what the book is about too, is this idea of, it seems also big, right? It seems also like the transition, the challenges, the change is also big until you break it down to a small step. So
Yeah.
take that small step. You don't need to know the second step. Take one
Mm-hmm.
small step and see what opens up for you.
Yeah.
And if it opens up to another step, great. If it's like, okay, that didn't work out, or I'm not feeling that, well, guess what?
Yeah.
Because you did that divergent, convergent thinking, you have another idea to go back to now.
I love it. I'm being a little selfish now, but I'm working on this other project that is creating something from nothing. And so I'm like, as you're sharing that, I'm like, okay, this is encouraging. Um, do you like, as we do that, I want to make sure that I continue not just in this season of transition, but I continue life like that. So to get real practical, tactile, do you have recommendations for how do I keep this? Is this a daily journal prompt that I think about? Is there like how can I keep doing this?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. That's a really interesting question for me because when I think about my life, it's just been. I told you how I grew up, right?
Yeah.
Vietnamese family. Um, I heard my parents every day say, "This is what you do,"
Yeah.
but really, like, I feel like the way I live my life is what I saw them do every day. Right? They
Mm.
had to follow curiosity to thrive in this new country. Right?
Wow.
They didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Everything was new. So every day they had to follow curiosity and act creatively
Hmm.
to get to the next thing. So daily activities. I am so bad at habits. I don't know if I'm the right person to ask this, but I mean, if you can think of your own, right? What's one small activity that you can do
Yeah.
every day? Maybe in the morning, wake up, write down what's one curiosity I have today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that because I think, at least for me, maybe for you too, my default is autopilot. And autopilot, I don't know what kind of thinking that is, but it's certainly not divergent. It is like boring, boring
Yeah.
gent. It is just, what is on the calendar, what is expected of me. Let me just get through the
Mhm.
day so that I can maybe on the weekend do what I always enjoy, which is nothing or watching a show. So I guess that's what I'm trying to get through is like, what is it having a pile of Legos on your desk? Is it having some I think for some that could be super helpful as a metaphor that reminds you that life is about play and about creativity,
Absolutely.
and there
Absolutely.
is no script to follow. There are no instructions. This is up to
Yeah.
you to figure out, what am I going to do with this? I've got a little bit of this, I got a little bit of that, I got these constraints,
Mhm.
I got these dreams, and now how do I put them together and see what I can come up with?
Yeah. So I guess a good answer to your question would be it depends on who it is, right? So
Yeah.
something like that. I'm a very visual and tactile person. So another thing we bring into the Honor Foundation or any of my workshops is something I call creative artifacts. I think I have some of them here.
Uh-huh.
And that is literally, and this might be something interesting for people to do because it's an easy one, is okay. So when I first started my business, it was creative art projects and I always said no to that. And so I transitioned to, okay, I'm going to do learning and development,
Uh-huh.
leadership development, team development through creative integration. And at the end of our project, our program, we're going to create a creative artifact. Now, you
Cool.
are still painting a rock, right?
Uh-huh.
But now that's called a creative artifact, people are more likely to do it. So this is something we do too, is like just these artifacts, right? A rock,
Yeah.
these reminder cubes, whatever it is. So whatever
Yeah.
is helpful to someone. For me during the pandemic, I did a lot of work on Zoom, which was not used to at all. It was
Yeah.
brand new to me. So I was really nervous all the time. And what I ended up doing is taking these rocks and writing down my strengths on the rocks.
Mm.
So if I was going to get a call with someone, I would be nervous. I would look
Yeah.
at my rocks and say, you know what? Nervous is not one of my strengths. But curiosity is. So I'm going to hold
Yeah.
on to that.
Yeah.
So again, it guess depends on the needs of each individual person, but I'm a big fan of tactile tools, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's also so good to be around kids sometimes. I have these great conversations with my 12-year-old who hasn't lost that yet. Like school hasn't
Oh,
dampened that sense of creativity yet. And
yeah,
it's fun
that's
to
great.
play what if we sort of games. And even
Yeah,
inviting her into designing stuff that I'm working on professionally. Hey, what do you think about this? And she's very quick to say, that doesn't sound good, Daddy, but you know, what would be cool is, and it just puts me in a different space rather than just being so
absolutely.
predictable and boring, doing what everyone else expects you to do.
And children are so good to learn from for this type of
Yeah.
thing. I remember one time I was at the Honor Foundation and someone brought their son, who was about 9 years old, to the
Huh.
program. And I would ask, I gave him some Lego, and as I would ask these men and women at the tables, like build an idea forward, build more ideas.
Uh-huh.
And I think the maximum anyone had was like 3 ideas. I said, look over there at the 9-year-old table he had on his own. He had a whole village built
Oh my gosh.
of ideas. So I think that's really, I think that's very smart of you
Yeah,
to ask
that,
your 12-year-old.
so the advice is not go grab a kid. Okay, that sounds weird. But if you've got a kid in your life,
That's right.
invite them into a conversation with you. So, anyways, Vaughn, thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you that we could finally become friends. And What If
Yeah.
Pigs Can Fly? What a fantastic title. We'll make sure to link that in the show notes. Go pick it up. And what's the best way to kind of track with you?
Oh, and you can reach me any way you want to with email. It's van@worksmartadvantage.com. I think the best way to kind of learn about this work and get tools from it is just reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Cool.
I'm always on LinkedIn, so connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always sharing my work and some content there.
Awesome. We'll be sure to do that. Thanks, Vaughn. See you soon.
Thank you.